Schools. Chairman Rabine is out of country right now and sends her regrets that she could not attend. She thoroughly prides herself in running meetings, and those of you who know anything about meetings, running a meeting is an art. It is not a science, and I was a science major, so bear with me, guys. I wonder if we can start out with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I've asked Mr. Colby Morris, who is a recent graduate of Missoula County Public Schools, to lead us in the pledge, if you would, please. Okay, well, welcome to all. Unfortunately, there are normally hard copies of the agenda as well as all of the agenda items, and we don't have them here yet. They're being gathered for us. So hopefully, by the time this meeting is started, we'll have a pile of copies for those of you who need. That'll be in the back. So those of you who do have them, great. If you don't, bear with us until we get copies. We'll start out with just going over the minutes, and there's a whole series of minutes that we need to approve, and starting with a budget study session of April 24th, and I wonder if I can get a motion to approve the minutes as they were written. By Mr. Bixler, thank you. And is there a second? Okay, by Mr. Drake Lem, thank you. And is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please? And that is unanimous. And a second set of minutes, which is for the special meeting of trustee interviews from, let's see, when was that? May 1st. And I want, again, if we can have a motion to approve those minutes by Mr. Toth. And is there a second? By Mr. Smith. Any further comment? Any revisions at all? All those in favor? And those opposed? Okay, those are also approved unanimously. Third is the regular meeting of May 8th. If I can get a motion to approve those minutes as they were written by Mr. Bixler and by, thank you, by Ms. Dupree. And is there any, as a second by Ms. Dupree, any discussion at all of the minutes or revisions? Okay, I can remember your name. All those in favor? And those opposed? That also is unanimous. And one final one, which was the canvass of ballots from May 15th. Again, a motion, please, by Mr. Smith and seconded by Ms. Wills. Any further discussion? All those in favor? And those opposed? That also passes unanimously. Thank you all. We're going to move on now to the community connection, which is a routine part of the board meeting now, and Ms. Allen will introduce our speaker.
I'm not going to take a long time to introduce our speaker, but I do want to introduce to you Susan Hay Patrick, who has an official title, which is CEO of United Way. But I would like to say that Susan Hay Patrick is my mentor, and I have appreciated the opportunity to collaborate with a member of the business community. Collaboration among groups that don't usually work together collaboratively is hard work. And Susan helps us make it look a lot easier. So we are very thrilled this evening to have Susan help us understand even more deeply what's important for our graduates as they move out into the world. Susan Hay Patrick.
Thank you, Karen. I'm really touched by that. Thank you for having me. I know you've been having speakers talk about skills for the 21st century. Before I do that, I just want to say that as we at United Way of Missoula County work to fulfill our mission of building a better community for all, we are very proud to be partners with MCPS in a number of things. Not just our common interest in seeing all students succeed in school, but in Graduation Matters Missoula. Let's Move Missoula, our community's new coalition to combat childhood obesity. United Way is also a proud supporter via 2 large donor-designated gifts of Schools for the 21st Century and the new Health Sciences Academy. So a lot of our efforts to build a better community dovetail with yours. We support programs that change and save lives of kids and families every day. United Way funded programs give kids caring mentors, healthy activities, and safe places to go after school and over the summer. We support programs that provide tutors and foster grandparents, that help parents, including teens, do a better job of the tough job of parenting, programs that put food on the family table so kids don't have to go to school hungry. We stuff the bus every summer with thousands of school supplies so kids in need can start school with the same school supplies as everyone else. We work to provide shelter and housing to reduce the number of homeless kids in our schools. We link families with health care and income support programs so that kids have a strong start and a fair chance. We fund middle school respect clubs to reduce violence and bullying and strengthen school communities, and the list goes on. A great school system is, of course, a part of ensuring that our community remains healthy and thriving well into the 21st century. And United Way is proud of our school system, of MCPS, of its leadership, of its faculty, and of its staff. And I'm really honored to be here this evening. Obviously, in terms of skills for the 21st century, I speak best from my own experience over the last 30-some years, most of that in the 20th century, managing and leading nonprofit organizations. Like MCPS, the best nonprofits are run in a business-like way. We may have a different bottom line, but at United Way, we strive for the same standards of operation that great for-profit businesses strive for in terms of mission, vision, and values, management and governance, systems and accountability, outstanding personnel, all combining to ensure excellent performance and a great return on investment. And I know that's something else that we share with Missoula County Public Schools. So just a quick word about the nonprofit community in Missoula. There's a myth that we have more nonprofits per capita than any other city in the country, something Forbes magazine reported in error several years ago, but remember what Mark Twain said, something like a lie or a story is halfway around the world before truth has a chance to put its pants on. So that has kind of stuck, but we do have a lot of nonprofits, and I think they make for a vibrant and healthy Missoula. They contribute to the economic vitality of our community, they strengthen our quality of life, they attract money and people to our area. In Montana, nonprofits are the fourth highest industry in our state in terms of payroll, paying more wages as a sector than the healthcare, finance, real estate, and hospitality industries, among others. In Missoula, our top 3 employers are nonprofits, the University of Montana and our 2 hospitals. Missoula's nonprofits have collective assets of more than $623 million, and that's a figure from 2008, so it's probably a little higher, a little lower since then. But that's a formidable number. And stewarding those resources well requires a lot of effective management. And in an industry characterized largely by 2 things, there's never enough money and there's never enough time, you have to keep a lot of balls in the air. And that leads me to talk about 21st century skills. I know that science, technology, engineering, math, the STEM curriculum is all the rage and the focus in many educational circles. The stem of the educational apple, if you will. But as a liberal arts major, both in terms of education and temperament, I want to stand up for the core, because the apple needs both the stem and the core. Writing, speaking, learning to think critically and in an orderly way, the ability to work well with all kinds of people, the self-awareness that leads to keenly honed instincts and the wisdom to follow them, the capacity to stand up for people, causes, and principles. Those are the skills that help students develop an inquiring mind, a generous heart, leadership skills, and a passion for lifelong growth and learning. More important, I think they're the skills that help create a whole person and enable that whole person to pursue and fulfill a meaningful life. I do a lot of career counseling, resume development, and interview coaching, and I've interviewed lots of people and hired them in the last 30-some years. And I've realized that enlightened employers, no matter what the job they're looking to fill, basically are looking for three things in a prospective hire. And these three things have never failed me when I'm looking to hire people. First, can the person do the job? Obviously, their resume is important. I need to know they have the background and the experience to do the job. And if they're young and just starting out, I need to believe that they're capable. Do they seem like they can keep all those balls in the air? Second, I want to know how this person is going to take my organization from its current level to the next higher level. What have they done to demonstrate that they can offer that strong return on investment I'm looking for? Can they work hard and effectively? Can they think with the institutional ego? Are they wise enough to know that a rising tide really can lift all boats, that when United Way succeeds, they will succeed? And third, and this is really important to me, what kind of person are they to spend the day with? I spend a lot of time at work, and I want to surround myself with people who are bright, who are caring, who are personable, who have a sense of humor, folks who treat the homeless guys who occasionally come to our office the same way they treat our major donors. I want to work with people who believe in our mission and work to advance it, whose vocabularies generally don't include the words "that's not in my job description," and who leave the drama at home. I don't mind watching the Oprah show, I don't want to work for the Oprah show. So those attributes, ability, accomplishments, intellect, humor, enthusiasm, people skills, the ability to think of we before me, and yes, simple courtesy, that's the core of the apple for me. And I think teachers do just as much good for their students when they impart those values and model those behaviors. And finally, I put a huge premium on connecting with people. That's a 21st century skill. We are both blessed and cursed to live in an era where we have amazing tools with which to communicate. We phone, we text, we email, we Facebook, we blog, we tweet, we link up on LinkedIn, we pin on Pinterest. And apparently I learned on my phone today, we can also Picasa, SmartShare, and Google+. But in an era when psychologists increasingly identify in young people the inability to recognize facial expressions, I worry about how well we are really connecting. I have a New Yorker magazine cartoon up on my refrigerator, and it's a lady on the cell phone, and she's saying, a bunch of my friends are coming over to stare at their phones. And I mean, we're laughing because there's so much truth to that. Walk into any restaurant, you see whole families on their cell phones or texting or staring at their phones. They're communicating, but really, are they connecting? So how to make those human connections is at the core of the 21st century skills we need our students to learn. They're not going to get those great STEM jobs if they don't have a strong core, if they can't look someone in the eye and really connect with them. I'm for anything that teaches kids not just how to connect electronically, but how to connect emotionally, how to think with their heads and also with their hearts. That's what leads to a better, stronger community, and that's what leads to forward-thinking, high-achieving students. So thank you very much for having me and let me speak my piece, and thank you for your service to our community.
Well, thank you very much for, I think, a really touching and kind of, thoughtful presentation. You know, I mean, I think the United Way is, been one of those silent backbones of the community here and actually across the country for a long, long time. And it's really, I think, important to touch on the humanity of what we deal with day in and day out. It's very easy, I think you're right, to get tied up with or to get stuck in this area of technology, and we forget about the person sitting right next to us an awful lot of time. So thank you very much for your comments. And I wonder if anybody else has any comments on the board. Ms. Wills?
I also want to say thank you for coming tonight and to really illustrate how the community has really, and us at the Missoula County Public Schools have really been working together to move together, and it's just wonderful to see you here. Thank you.
Thank you. I would just like to express my appreciation to Susan for all the support that she has given our school district in many, many different ways. When we call meetings of importance, I can always count on Susan to be there and to be a great supporter of everything that we're trying to do. And having United Way as a partner as we move our school district in the direction that we all want to see it move is a huge asset. And we appreciate you, Susan, and your organization, United Way. Thank you for being here. Great job.
Can I go now, or do you want me to stay?
I think you're free to go.
But
Yeah.
you may have to forever hold your You didn't call me. Can I be here? Okay. I am not Becky Sorensen. Becky Sorensen is with a group of teachers from Hawthorne Elementary, learning more about professional learning communities. But we do have with us Katy Branston, who is the flagship coordinator at Hawthorne Elementary. And you may remember that a year ago, I think at this meeting, we saw a video that was prepared, supported by a flagship coordinator at Big Sky High School. This is a video coordinated by a flagship coordinator at Hawthorne. And Katy is going to explain and, I believe, introduce.
All right, thank you, Karen, and thanks to all of you for having us here tonight. I work for one of the many nonprofits here in Missoula, and even one that is also funded by, partially by United Way. So Susan, it was really great to hear from you as well. The flagship program is a free program to students. We're based in 9 Missoula County public schools, and we offer after-school and summer programming, skill building and enrichment programming for our students that keeps them active, keeps them engaged, keeps them safe, and keeps them out of trouble. And I had the pleasure of working with 2 fabulous 5th graders at Hawthorne, one who's here tonight, Isabel Ray, and also Lauren Booth, on a very special end-of-the-year project. And it is a hip-hop video about bike safety. Nothing sounds cooler than that. I almost wore my helmet for you, but I didn't want helmet hair. So Hawthorne School is a very, very special community. I've been there just under a year, and it is already home to me. And you'll see that this video involved the collaborative efforts of the entire school. We have the whole 5th grade class in it. You'll see the librarian, the principal, breaking all the rules because she's riding a bike down the hallway. You'll see a 3rd grade teacher. You'll see the librarian, the secretary, a cafeteria staff, the family resource center staff, CSCT staff. It really took the collaborative efforts of the whole school, and I can't think of a much better example of innovation to communicate a very important and even life-saving message of bike safety. So I'd love to invite Isabel up here if you want to introduce yourself and say a word maybe about what you enjoyed with the project. Isabel's a 5th grader, well, 6th grader now.
Thank you. As she said, I am Isabel. This was a very good opportunity for me because before now I have been homeschooled. So it was my first year of school, and Katy really made me feel at home. And this was very special to me. I'm even wearing a necklace I made that we call me and Lauren Booth. It's called Bella Booth. We just named ourselves. So, again, thank you. Oh. This is my mother, Bibiana Ray, and she has also been a lot of support for me when I came to Hawthorne. It is a really great school. She has helped me through a lot of difficulties and came here with me. She's supported me definitely on this whole hip-hop thing. So, oh yeah, my sister totally went crazy. She wanted to show everyone. So thank you again.
They are.
Pass on the left and stay on the right. I let people know I'm coming, they don't feel no fright. I'm on a bike. Tonight. I'm on a bike. I'm on a bike. 2 wheels on the road and I'm feeling alright. Look at my cars and make sure to point. Give a smile and a wave so you don't disappoint. Help in the air and stay on gas. $7 bill, I got so much cash. I'm on a bike. I'm on a bike riding home tonight. I'm on a bike. I'm on a bike. 2 wheels on the road and I'm feeling alright. If you're riding at night and the sky's pitch black, put a light on the front and a light on the back. Wind in my hair in the warmth of the sun. Got a grin up on my face. I'm having so much fun. I'm on a bike. I'm on a bike riding home tonight. I'm on a bike. I'm on a bike. 2 wheels on the road and I'm feeling alright. I'm on a bike. I'm on a bike riding home tonight. I'm on a bike. I'm on a bike. 2 wheels on the road and I'm feeling alright. Alright. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, Isabel, thank you to you and your colleagues and partners for a remarkable presentation. And you know, if you want to stay afterwards, you might be able to help some of our staff with their technical skills, since you guys did such a terrific job there. So thank you both very, very much for what you've accomplished here. It's really quite a neat little project you undertook.
I think we did forget to say Scott Matthews actually did help on this video also. You may remember Scott Matthews was the support behind the video that came from Big Sky. So there's a network of flagship folks who bring about great things for great kids. We appreciate you.
Okay, well, much appreciated. And is Mr. Lodge here from Helgate? For those of you who are not aware, Mr. Lodge is in his terminal phases here at Missoula County Public Schools, off to the sunny North Olympic Peninsula, actually in the rain shadow. So, Mr. Lodge.
Some would say I've been in a terminal phase for a while. That's kind of a tough act to follow. I'm here for a couple of reasons tonight. Thanks for having us. Our boys tennis team won the state championship this year. And as you might expect, we can't find any of them to come here tonight because they're off other places. They're all playing tennis. So it's my pleasure to introduce our assistant coach, Mr. Shane Johnson, who's very nervous, but very excited to come up and kind of summarize for you the boys tennis team this year. Shane.
All right, so really the kids
made it easy on head coach Doug Pinto and I. We had an unbelievably talented group of kids. Pretty much was our job to stay out of their way and let them do their thing. They ended up winning state with a state record 52 points. Our doubles teams played each other in the state championship. It went to a tiebreaker. Will Ballou and Avery Howard took first. We had Dylan Harvala and Lee Fritzen took second. Our third doubles team ended up placing fourth in state. That was Zach Peavy and Daniel Harvala. We had a fourth team in state that played in the semifinals, ended up losing a couple of tough matches. I think they took fifth. That was Nick Clout and Reed Bergenheyer. And then on the single side, Alex Braun took second in state, gave Kellen Bates a tough match. And then it was Blake Miller took third. He was on the court for 7 hours on Saturday, 2 3.5 hour long matches that he pulled out both to take third. So I just want to congratulate them and thank them for making our job easy and making us look good. Thank you.
So my next person to invite up is a gentleman named Colby Morris. Colby, could you join me, please? Renee Connor was Colby's sophomore teacher in block, and she couldn't be here tonight, but she wrote a few words about Colby. So I want to, if you would give me a moment just to read to you what Renee wrote about Colby, and then I've got a few things to present, and this will all make sense in just a moment. So Renee writes, Colby is a diligent, dedicated student and a person who sets high goals for himself and then works toward achieving those goals. While he works diligently, however, to achieve high marks, Colby is also actively involved in extracurricular activities which keep him focused throughout the academic year. His work with Model United Nations, Helgate's in-building mentor program, Link Crew, Students Against World Malnutrition, the University of Montana Russian Club, Obama's 2008 presidential campaign, the Nargis Library Recovery Program, and the United States Senate Page Program illustrate his desire to be a civic-minded individual. Colby is also actively involved in Academic World Quest, Amnesty International, and Missoula City Club as a high school ambassador, indicating his desire to be a strong leader. His efforts to be part of a team reveal that he is able to assume the role of leader as well as work within a group framework. Colby is an energetic individual who enjoys people, which makes him an excellent team player, yet he is not afraid to tackle a project or requirement on his own. These attributes will greatly affect his future in many positive ways. Colby is acutely aware of the world issues and the role of his generation in making the world a more unified global community. His academic talents are only additional proof of his strength of character. Helgate will miss Colby next year, but Princeton is lucky to have him. So what I have to present to him tonight in front of the board, which I think is very fitting, is Colby is the Siemens Foundation Certificate of Recognition Award winner. Colby had the highest scores in the state of Montana last year in the advanced placement testing program. There's only 2 winners statewide, 1 male, 1 female. So what I have for Colby is $2,000 for his trip off to Princeton. And then this beautiful plaque that signifies his awards. And I got to tell you one more thing that Colby just blows me away, frankly, is we didn't see much of Colby at Helgate because he was always at the University of Montana taking classes. So he's graduating from high school with 53 college credits. And I still have a hard time getting my mind around that, Colby. But well-deserved and just an all-around nice guy, Colby Morris.
Thank you.
Yeah, Colby, you want to introduce your folks for us and just maybe say a word or two?
Sure. Sitting in the back are my mom and dad, Bree and Elliot Morris. They've really helped me a lot over the years too, a lot of, especially with my university classes, a lot wouldn't be possible without them and their support and helping me sign up for them and supporting me throughout the courses and giving me the opportunities to take the courses. So I really appreciate them, and a lot of this is thanks to them too. So thank you.
Well, Colby, you're a tribute to your generation, and I wonder if you wouldn't mind just dropping around and saying hello to all the board members. We'd really appreciate taking an opportunity to shake your hand. With people like you, the East Coast isn't going to quite be the same. Thanks a bunch, Colby.
Thank you.
Next we have from Sentinel, Mr. Blakely. Are you here? There you are.
I brought Liz Harper here with me today. Where'd you go?
Right
here. Lizzie went to the state tournament or state track meet in Butte, and if you're predicting the weather in the spring and the state track meet is scheduled for Butte, it's going to be raining sideways when you get there. Liz had a marvelous performance at the state track meet. The team overall took sixth place with 36 points. Liz placed third in the high jump with a height of 5'2", and that got her 6 points. She was second in the 100-meter hurdles with a time of 14.81 seconds. That got her another 8 points. She was state champion in the 300-meter hurdles with a time of 43.86, which got her another 10 points, and state champ in the 400-meter dash at 56.72 seconds for another 10 points. Now, you quick do the math. Of the 36 points of our state championship, or our sixth-place team, Liz scored 34 of those points. So it's pretty impressive. So I give you Liz Harper.
Hi, thank you for having me today. It was pretty tough weather, but it's Montana, so I didn't expect anything less. I was really happy with my performance. I'm always looking forward to the following year, and next year's sadly my last, but I'm hoping to continue college track and continue with that. So thank you for having me.
And Liz, if you wouldn't mind coming around, would you first of all introduce, are your folks here with you?
No,
Parents
they're
are
not.
okay.
Sorry.
Well, if you wouldn't just acknowledge them anyway and just give them their names, so that the folks who are potentially listening online now, and if you wouldn't just come around and just say hello to all of us.
Right. Well, my parents are Nicole and Nathan Scribner. They've supported me throughout everything. I mean, they come. My mom yells the loudest. She claims to be my #1 fan, and I believe her. But they supported me through everything. I'm really glad to have them.
Thanks, Lizzie. Just one more quick comment. It was driving rain while she was there, and she ran the 300-meter hurdles in a time of 43.86. The all-time state AA record is 43.54. 0.3 of a second slow on that. So we're no pressure, no pressure.
Not at all.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I'd also like to introduce the members of the Imagine Tomorrow team to come up with me today, as well as Mr. Messerman. I thought I saw him earlier. There he is. Come on up. You know, Ms. Patrick was talking about 21st century communication skills and the intellect and the need to be able to communicate and connect. I'm introducing 5 individuals. 2 of them can't be here because they are busy connecting at Boys State, and is it Duncan that's at Boys State?
Duncan's at Boys State, Luke's at National Speech Debate.
Duncan Cox is at Boys State right now with a group of boys over there, and Luke Gaiman is in Indianapolis right now competing in the national competition of speech and debate. So they've got good reasons for not being here. The other 3 individuals of this team are Aaron Johnson, Matt Powell, and Jackson Smith. I'm going to let them tell you about their experience in Washington, but I will tell you that these individuals have a good background. They've got a very good science knowledge. It's hard to open the Missoulian anymore without finding an article about Sentinel and science, and these guys have an excellent science knowledge, but what they truly excel at is their ability to present in public, their poise and their speaking ability. And I'm just going to turn this over to them so that they can prove that to you.
Hi, my name's Jackson Smith, and since we're recognizing parents, I'd just like to first thank our team mom, which is Lisa Cox. She's standing right there. We really couldn't have done it without her. She helped us put together our poster, the last second, right before we actually competed. And then I would like to thank Mr. Messerman, who chaperoned and got us there, and Miss Nelson, which she is not here today, but she is a physics teacher at Sentinel. And she just organized us, made sure we were doing stuff whenever we came in at lunch, every now and then. And so I'm going to let Matt talk about our project.
So our project, Imagine Tomorrow, has to do with looking at sustainability and trying to make our community itself a more sustainable place. So what we were looking at doing was taking confiscated hydroponic systems from the DEA, cleaning them up, and then getting donated greenhouses to grow food for the district. That's what our project was looking around. So we've been working a lot with Ed and Stacy from the food program here, with Dr. Apostle, who's been a great help with us, and Mr. Blakely as well, and every now and again, to help us get this project just working, help it going, and help it so we can have a better food supply for our school district here in Missoula. That's about.
And so with this project, we actually went over to Washington State University 2 weekends ago with Messerman as our chaperone and Lisa Cox as our other chaperone. And we presented it to a series of judges from all sorts of top-notch companies like Boeing and Weyerhaeuser. And basically, we took Best New Montana School, being the only new Montana school. Being the only Montana school. And then we took first place in our behavior category, which won our team $11,000, $5,500 of which went to the school. Oh, and of course, one of our major title sponsors is Sentinel DECA.
Well, congratulations to all 5 of you, the 3 of you who are representing and your 2 partners who are elsewhere. How did you decide on this particular area of activity? What got you interested in it?
Well, we first, just wanted to compete in this competition. It looked like fun, and we could win some money doing it. And it was supposed to focus on something that was sustainable, something that used organic things. And one of the biggest contributors to CO2 pollution is the food industry and the transportation of food. So we started looking at that, and one thing that we realized is that we have this really great resource over here, Stacy and Ed, who work with the school lunch program. And we started talking to them, and one of the things that they mentioned was kale and how they could grow that hydroponically. And so, I called up my friends over at the Drug Enforcement Agency, and it just kind of all fell into place.
Well, good for you for being both inquisitive and innovative, and we're not going to ask any further questions. Would the three of you, if possible, if your parents are here, would you introduce them? If they're not here, would at least give us their names as well. Ask their parents to stand up when you do introduce them.
Well, my parents are not here. Our only parent, again, is Lisa Cox, our team mom. But my parents are John Smith and Carol Smith.
My parents are Denise Dowling and Chris Johnson. They were really supportive throughout the entire thing.
My parents are Guy and Joy Powell, who just really supported our idea and helped make it happen, with me at least.
And Duncan's parents is Lisa Cox and Curtis Cox, and I don't know.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't.
Okay. Well, we got 8 out of 10, which isn't too bad. And what if we wouldn't mind coming around again and just shaking people's hands? And again, thank you all for your incredible effort. That's great. Well, Mr. Levosky, let's hear you beat hydroponics in the DEA now.
No problem. No problem. Wait till you see my PowerPoint. Well, thanks for having me here tonight. Our student Weston is also at Boys State and can't be here, but he is the state triple jump winner. There is some home video of his mother being more excited than he at state. If you know YN, you can imagine. So we're going to move right on to Brandon Hansel and Kate Lindner. I'm a recovering science teacher, and I have never seen a school win so many science fairs and progress so far and have students engage themselves. Advanced problems is one of the best things in this district. It teaches kids how to do science. It's not just about reading a book. And Kate and Brandon have taken this to a new level. So with that, our APS teachers, Kate Lindner and Brandon Hansel.
Hi, thanks for having us here. And thanks, Trevor, for introducing us. So this is Brandon Hansel. Again, I'm Kate Lindner. And to tell you the truth, we're honored to have the students that we have to work with in the class Advanced Problems in Science. The class is open to any student who wants to enroll. Brandon and I have shared it completely throughout the year. And the students have to develop their own science project. They have to do their own research, and then they're required to present that research as a poster. There are 2 examples back here. In addition, they have to present it orally at a symposium, not in a classroom. And then finally, they have to write a scientific paper emulating what you would see in any science, peer-reviewed science journal. So the students that we have tonight with us, we had 25 students this year. Tonight we have 3 of them. And so I'm happy to introduce Neela Andres, Kyle Brester, and Austin Heron. Would you guys come up and just talk about what you did and how they went for you? Yeah. Great. Thanks.
Oops, that doesn't bend. Hi, everyone. I'm Neela Andres, and that's my mom, Shelly Andres, and Tom is my dad. He also works at this school. And so for my project this year, I worked with the genetics of my pigs grown at the MCPS Ag Center, and I kind of looked into a correlation between their genetics and how well they are able to produce and on fertility level as well. So this was just a really great experience for me, and I learned a lot. And it was really inspiring to see just what high schoolers can do, and that the future of our world is so bright, and I'm glad to be a part of it. So, thank you.
Hello. So my name is Austin Heron. Thank you for having us. And my project was studying the effects of octopamine on aggression and courtship behaviors in male Drosophila. And I used Drosophila Drosophila as a model organism for humans, and octopamine is pretty much just a enzyme which changes tyramine into octopamine, and this is used to study aggression and courtship, and aggression mostly in humans. So it was just really interesting to kind of get involved with actual research in a lab. I did all my research at the University of Montana at Sir Hertel's lab in the Center for Structural and Functional Neuroscience, and it was just a great experience to actually get out there. So thanks.
Hello, my name is Kyle Brester. I studied roundabouts for my APS project. My poster is back there on the wall. And I wanted to see if roundabouts would help improve air quality here in Missoula compared to stop-controlled intersections. And APS was really a great experience for me. Not only did it help me better understand my own interests, but it helps me pick a major for college and such. I also made a lot of really good connections with professionals here in the Missoula community, so I really have my foot in the door when it comes to scientific research. So I'd really like to thank the APS teachers and Dr. Apostle for supporting the APS program. And because of APS, I was actually selected as one of 2 students to represent Montana at the National Youth Science Camp. So thank you.
Thanks again for having me tonight. I wanted to say there's 2 individuals who weren't able to make it tonight, but the reason we brought these individuals tonight is they are all award winners at various science symposia and fairs. Mila was able to go to the International Science and Engineering Fair for her place at State Science Fair. We had 3 of the top 6 placers at the State Science Fair. And so Neela was able to go. Another student, Julia Michaels, and Stacia Hill also to the International Science and Engineering Fair. And what was neat this year, it was Stacia and the second year going. They went last year as well, and this year they were both recognized, got special awards there. Neela got one from the American Veterinary Association, and Stacia's was from the American Microbiology Association. So that was great. Stacia finished #1 in state, and she also finished #1 in the Regional Science Fair. So it's too bad she wasn't able to be here to be recognized. Kyle's work was recognized at the Air Toxic Symposium, Air Toxic Big Sky Symposium, hosted by the University of Montana. He took first prize there. And like he said, he was selected for the National Science Camp, along with Michelle Nemetchek, who was also not able to be here tonight. So 2 representatives from Montana are both coming from Big Sky again this year, as they did last year. And then Austin was selected as first alternate. So if something were to happen to, say, Kyle, Austin would be the one to replace them. And that's a month-long trip to West Virginia. There were students from all over the country, and it's all expenses paid by the National Science Foundation. All the travel, all the coordination, everything. We have a number of students who are actually going back to be counselors there this year from Big Sky, as they said this is the single best experience in high school was science camp. So it's something that they should be really proud of. And then just to top it off, Big Sky again won the State Science Fair. We were like 7 out of the last 10, so we feel pretty good about what we're doing out there. But it's mostly due to the way that our staff works together, starting at the top. We had great support from Paul Johnson, and it's continued with Trevor Lebowski. And the way our department works together is second to none. Everybody contributes to this. So it's not a couple of BPS teachers and some top-notch students. It's the whole department, and it's a bunch of students helping mentor each other. These students, when they come back next year, they'll help students pick projects. They'll help them, along the process, help them build posters, help them build their presentations. So it really is a community effort more than anything. So thank you again for your support.
Well, to Trevor, to you and your whole educational community out there, it's a remarkable story, and you got a lot to keep it going. It's a pretty remarkable story. So kudos and congratulations.
I would also like to congratulate the staff and the students for creating a collaborative environment, a supportive environment for student achievement. We appreciate your efforts and your achievements. Congratulations.
So do I need to stay here? Is that imperative? Yeah.
It's mandatory.
Okay. Well, good evening. This is the State of the School Address. More of me this evening, and with that, I will try to expedite as quickly as possible here. We had another great year at High School. As you know, this is finishing up my second year. A large driver for us is obviously the district goals, which we pay a great deal of attention to, and you're all familiar with those. The goals are things that we really like to address, though, are involved in the 21st century model change. Increase student engagement, transforming learning environments, supporting innovators, changing professional growth and personalizing it, enhancing communications, and collaborating to make decisions. This is something we've tried very hard in lots of different areas to focus on, and I hope that you'll see that strand as we go through the presentation. Just a few things I'm going to talk about tonight. Our professional learning and how we've transformed that at Big Sky has been wonderful, not just for the staff, I hope, but it has been for me as well, as a leader to really let teachers go and take control of their own professional learning has been wonderful. I'll talk more about that in a second. The Health Science Academy, I'm sure you're familiar with that. I'm not going to delve too much into that this evening. However, I will say that currently, this week, we have 6 teachers at Big Sky High School who are involved in a new form of professional learning, which is called externships. And that's where the teachers leave the school and go out into the community to learn where their content area is being applied in businesses. And those are our 6 Health Science Academy teachers. We're piloting this with the Health Science Academy and hope to take it out to the larger school in the future. Essentially, the Chamber of Commerce, with the help of AHEC, helped design this program for them, this professional program. I'll just read off the list. We have them in teams of 2, so there are 3 teams, and they rotate, and they spend 3 hours, 9 to 12, at their sites, and then we all come back together at 1, from 1 to 3, to plan lessons, hear about what they saw. So list the places they're going this week. Valley County Health Department, Partnership Healthcare, St. Pat's, the Springs, they've headed out there this week. Partnership again, Menida, Community Hospital, Missoula PT, and the University of Montana. Community and St. Pat's again, the Community First Lab, Partnership, and Advanced Imaging. And on day 5, the final day, they'll do a mini road trip to, and this was really important from the medical professionals in the community, that they got to see the rural areas. So they're going to Mineral Community Hospital, Superior, and then there's a new clinic in St. Regis. So they're getting to see where their content areas are being applied in the business, and that so far has been it's been fantastic. So that's what's happening with the Health Science Academy currently. I'll show you some dropout data, and then we'll just talk about some cool things. Professional development. This is my #1 favorite thing of the year. It never has been in the past. We've taken over the PIR days. We've let teachers design peer-led in-house trainings for the last 2 years. The first year it was solely on technology. I'm pretty passionate about people being able to see technology before we purchase it, to see what the possibilities are and if in fact they want to spend the money. And this year for the April PIR day, we focused on technology and assessment. Assessment has been the sole focus of the early outs. Over half of our early outs on Thursdays have been spent in assessment PLCs. And these are based around the PLC structure, which is the 4 questions. You can see those up there. Those are the topics for the learning. More specifically at Big Sky, passion of mine is assessment for learning. and this is largely due to the work of Rick Stiggins, and it has to do with, well, I think the quote up there is probably the best thing. As I went through the training, I wanted to go back and apologize to all my students I ever taught, and I really did. I wanted to go back and just say, sorry, I should have done this work first. And it's a very powerful experience. We've sent teams to Portland over the past 2 years. We've done summer institutes where teachers have trained other teachers. And we have over a quarter of the staff who've received formal training, and then another good portion who have gotten the training from their colleagues. Essentially what we do is we look at these 5 elements, which is the purpose of the assessment, the clear targets, which is largely what this year was about, which was developing learning target unit plans. Next year we're going to be designing quality assessments. We work on effective communication. How do we communicate this information to all the various stakeholders? And then how do we involve students in this process? That's a very, very powerful one we oftentimes overlook. And each department had a PLC, and each department presented in the May early outs on all the work for the year, and they exceeded all expectations for the work that they had done. Really turned them loose, and they took advantage of it. So that's the most exciting part for me. In fact, if you came to I know a few of you came to the Big Sky visit, and I shared with you some examples of what the assessment work looks like for the students, and that's spreading throughout the schools, so it'll be something that all the kids will become familiar with. Obviously, the Health Science Academy starts up in the fall. It's been almost 2 years to the day that I started working on this. And if you can do the math, my contract started in July, and I began in June, I think, Dr. Apostle. Wasn't that right? Yeah. And we're focusing on those 21st century core elements, so 6 elements. We're trying to hit all of those elements. In fact, Mr. Reed and Mrs. Allen have been hugely instrumental in transforming in the course of 2 days the F building in Big Sky High School. We're going to have a home, a smaller learning community for 90 freshmen that are coming in from all around Missoula County. So that's, there's lots of paint and carpet and technology and a lot of community work, a lot of community support with how we're going to get students out, just as we want to get our teachers out into the community. Project-based learning, and 4 R's, which is the rigor, relationships, the relevance, and now readiness, which is readiness for anything. And I can't stress enough with the Academy how much the community's been involved. In fact, Susan Hay-Patrick has helped a great deal with that. Obviously, we focus on dropout data. The percentages over the last few years, we're hoping our 2.6 will drop even lower after we come into the next school year. We have a committee that meets once a week. We've developed a profile of what a typical dropout looks like at Big Sky based on data. The most powerful thing, though, has been all the stories we've compiled. I put the GPS thing up there because that's what all the teachers and staff do at all of our schools, is that our kids, they get off track, and we're kind of the GPS that brings them back, and in a nice calm voice too. The GPS person, whether it's a male or female, never yell at you or get angry. They say, turn left here. I told you to turn left. So we try to focus on the GPS analogy. We have kids in some really, really horrible circumstances, and oftentimes they just disappear. Literally disappear. We can't find them. So, we're struggling. We're working with our social worker, Gary Friedman, who again going to do a summer of 30 home visits for incoming students. So he's going to spend a great deal of time visiting homes throughout the summer. We have a thrift store. If you came by to the school, I probably showed you that and emptied your wallet. It's a cooperative effort between the business department and our special education department. We have lots of volunteers that come in, some from RSVP, and that's been hugely successful. We have ski production, wakeboard production. Scott Trader was actually featured as a Gold Star winner if you watch KECI. That was one of my favorite Gold Star bits, by the way. All kids, no principals. We had a thriving music technology class that produced a CD each semester of all student-produced work. That's been hugely popular, and we're hoping to add a second phase to that next year. And then, of course, obviously the Academy has been a big part. So not everything's roses. We have a lot of things to do. We're obviously going to continue with the professional learning communities. We're going to send more teachers to assessment training. And one thing that I've talked a lot about over the course of the year is the need for a really strong building level mentor program for our teachers, so that we don't have to go back and retrain them on who we are and what we believe in. So with that, I will take questions.
Any takers?
Dr. Apostle. Yeah, in my own words, and it's not, we certainly don't have it down as tight as we would like. It's something we need to work on, but essentially, I think a good model is really what Brandon Hansel talked about, is a group of teachers that work collaboratively, regardless of the courses that they teach. But for instance, in lots of our situations, we have multiple teachers teaching Algebra 1, we have multiple teachers teaching English. That's a huge resource, and that's something we need to tap into as a larger district, in a larger school, because we have expertise in-house, and the PLCs allow you to take advantage of that. So it's not a matter of telling teachers what to teach, or one teacher telling another teacher. It's about agreeing upon the guaranteed and viable curriculum. What's every student going to have, regardless of the algebra class that they take, and then together looking at ways in which each other go about getting to that point and getting the students to that point. So it's a lot of time coming together and discussing. The math department likes to go do their work and do the unit target sheets after they discuss for 5 minutes, and then our language arts department likes to sit around and talk about this stuff. And it's just different personalities. And some of our departments have never spent a lot of time meeting together. So this has just been, everybody's at a different point, and they're moving forward at a different rate. Yep.
Mr. Sadler?
I just want to compliment you on the progress that Big Sky has made. We always knew we had an excellent staff. We always knew that given their head, they would perform wonderfully, and we would have great results. But it does take somebody with vision, somebody who is able to put the pieces together, which you have been doing. So I'd like to give you that compliment.
Thank you.
The community that supports Big Sky High School has nothing but compliments for it, and it's largely due to the staff and to your work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Trustee Holland?
I guess many compliments. I've had the opportunity to come to the school and see what's going on, and everything from the music technology class to making skis and, I guess, wakeboards, and I don't know what else they're making. But mostly I've talked to a lot of students, and they are so excited. They see that these have real applications, the teachers have engaged them. Every student I talk to is writing about Mr. Dwyer or about Mr. Foster. It's just, it's really having an effect on the kids. So I want to thank you and your staff. If you can.
Well, it's a great staff. Thank you for that. Yep.
Dr. Apostle?
Well, I just want to echo some of the things that have already been mentioned. But, as you walk into Big Sky, you get a certain feeling. And the feeling is that you have a number of our professionals, our teachers in that building that are coming together to make a difference for our kids. You can feel it. I can feel it when I speak to the staff in meetings. We have a staff that has really raised the bar for everyone, and I want to wish you continued success. Doing what you've done in a short period of time is unbelievable. And I must give some credit too, in fact, credit in general to Karen Allen, who's the Executive Regional Director, who works very closely with Trevor and the staff, and I think it's just a team effort. It's a team effort making things work. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Karen.
Trevor, thanks an awful lot for everything you've accomplished. Okay, moving on is Mr. Sturgis. Podium belongs to you.
Thank you. Trevor is an outstanding guy, I gotta say. And my children are all graduates of Big Sky High School, so and they're all very successful and wonderful people. So. I'm here to talk a little bit about the International Baccalaureate Primary Years program, which we are looking at very seriously at Lewis and Clark. First of all, I really want to thank Dr. Postle and the community for all the support they've given us to get this program off the ground. The timeline for us is that this year we have been exploring it, we've been talking about it, and we've gotten the ball rolling. Next year we will delve into it. We will start looking at creating units, inquiry-based units. We will start talking as a staff. We'll use our PLCs for that work. And in April, we will apply, I hope, if the staff agrees and wants to go this way, to be a candidate school for International Baccalaureate Primary Years program. Then we'll have a year of being the candidate school, and we'll develop all our units around the central themes of IB. And then the following year, we will be in the accreditation phase, where IB will come and work with us and make sure that we're on the right track and tweak and help us adjust our trajectory. And then the following year, we will become an International Baccalaureate Primary Years program. So our process right now is training as many people as we can, given the funding that we have. So we sent 3 teachers to Kansas City last month to be trained with the International Baccalaureate program. We sent 6 teachers to Bellingham, Washington, where we visited 2 schools, both accredited International Baccalaureate Primary Years program schools. And that was a very powerful experience for us to see students so engaged in what they do, so empowered by the fact that they are the architects of their own curriculum. They are doing the work that they are interested in. They are talking and collaborating with each other. It's a real model for us as teachers and a real model for them as students and learners. And then I want to assure all of you that even though we are looking at the primary years program, that in elementary school, our focus has been and will always be to make sure that every student comes out of our school as competent readers and as competent mathematicians. So there is direct instruction involved. We want to take our kindergartners and make sure that they can read, and we will focus a lot of our energies, as we always have, in making sure that every second grader is a reader and is competent in mathematics. So even though we will infuse inquiry-based learning into our process, we are still focused on and will always be focused on the basics of education for our kids. We know how important it is that kids read and that kids are competent in math. So with that, I'd like to introduce, and I could go on and on, but with that, I'd like to introduce Sherry Winter, Susan Anderson, and Kathy Dungan. Sherry is a kindergarten teacher, Susan is a 5th grade teacher, and Kathy Dungan is a multi-age 1-2 teacher, and they'll share a little bit about their experience in Bellingham. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kathy Dungan, and I was one of the teachers that was able to go to Kansas City. And when we came back, we were so excited that we asked Karen if we could visit some schools. So we, 2 weeks ago, went to Bellingham and were able to spend the day in 2 amazing schools. And I'll just tell you a little tiny part of what I loved about our visit and what I love about the Primary Years program. As Mr. Sturgis said, the curriculum is structured around 6 thematic units. And we will take our curriculum, our science and our social studies curriculum, and we will organize them under those units. But what's really exciting is when we walked into both of these schools, there is a gigantic matrix of kindergarten through 5th grade of the entire curriculum organized. And it creates this connection from kindergarten to 5th grade that's both horizontal and vertical. And it also creates this ability, for teachers to collaborate in real and true and powerful ways, because you are surrounded by this language and this structure, and you could feel the excitement among the staff and the parents and the children. So we were skipping excited when we left Bellingham. So we're so excited to move on through the summer and through next year and deepening our understandings. So stay tuned.
I'm Susan Anderson. I teach 5th grade at Lewis and Clark. And I just, when I came back from the workshop in Kansas City and then went to view the schools, I went back to the 21st century document that the district and the community developed. And I want to just talk about a couple things I see in the document that the IB Primary Years program really emphasizes. In the implementing the 21st century model of change, it talks about students doing projects that increase student engagement. And everywhere we went in Bellingham, we saw kids that were using the inquiry process. They were doing, and it's really important that we say the word guided inquiry at the Primary Years program. They were integrating new technologies into their work. It was educating the whole child, and I found that the creative, collaborative work that they were doing, the critical thinking, and the international mindedness was really powerful. It's really important for children at the level that we teach to realize that there's a big world out there, and so they made really good connections to their world. I also served on the district capstone project group that was studying capstone projects this year, and the connection to the exhibition that's done at the 5th grade level, where 5th grade students show the culmination of their primary years program in a project such as those high school projects that we've seen today, of course on a limited basis. But kids are not only researching throughout the year, they're developing their project, and they're making that community connection at a young age, which is really important for kids. The other component of the 21st century model of change is personalizing professional growth, and I find that this will really give teachers a way to connect to their professional growth as a whole staff, rather than people going out and doing this professional development or this professional development. They're all focused on the same thing, and they're working together to move that school forward. So I think it impacts professional learning communities with a focus. It impacts the 4 C's: creativity, communication, collaborative thinking, and critical thinking, so that not only teachers are modeling those things, but students are modeling those things. So we were really thrilled with what we saw. I think we are still inquirers. We plan to go back to our staff and really go through the inquiry process to have the rest of the teachers and our staff learn about the IB process before we make a decision, so that everybody's informed, everybody knows where we're thinking about going, and then we all come together. So.
Hi there, I'm Sherry Winter, kindergarten teacher, and hi Mike, I had his son, very lovely Timothy. I can't believe it, that he's as old as he is. Timothy, that is. Sorry, Mike. I'm going to start over. Hi, I'm Sherry Winter, kindergarten teacher at Lewis and Clark School, and I just want to give you a personal story that I'm going to be honest, that I went to the Kansas City training as a skeptic. I need to learn from experience. I need to hear from the horse's mouth. And I was kind of against it. And day 2, a light bulb went on, and I think have now become the biggest advocate for the program, because I'm thinking of my 2.5-year-old child and my unborn child, that this is the education that I want for them. And I've been a teacher for 13 years and thought I've been doing it fabulously, and now my whole world's been turned upside down because I want to become better. I want to become an IB teacher. now, or a PYP teacher. It's going to be an amazing journey. We have such an amazing staff. I just have to share that, I'm going to share, Kathy, this story. So I'm doing the Creative Pulse program at the University of Montana for my master's, day 2. I'm exhausted. It's 10 hours a day. And we do a lot of group work. It's only day 2. Done a lot of group work. And I realized last night, 8 o'clock at night, back at the university, that I work at Lewis and Clark with such amazing teachers that I feel so privileged to work with. And why I'm saying that is because I'm working with some amazing teachers from all over the nation at the university these last 2 days, but none of them compare to what I get to work with. And so I'm very excited to go on this journey with them.
Yeah, they are amazing, I gotta say. I'm honored to work for them, and thank you, Karen, for helping me put this staff together over the years. Just on a final note, I want to share with you the learner profile of an IB student, and tell me if this isn't what you would like to see students be. Inquirers, knowledgeable, thinkers, communicators, principled, open-minded, caring, risk takers, balanced, and reflective. This is where we're going, and we thank you for your support.
Before you leave, I just want to mention how grateful the district is and how grateful I am with the enthusiasm, the energy, and the commitment on the part of the staff and Jack to move forward and to look at something different and think about the possibilities. I think it's wonderful. I've had the opportunity to meet with the staff at Lewis and Clark, and the enthusiasm is real. And there are risk takers at Lewis and Clark. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We would be remiss if we didn't appreciate Kevin Richland and Brad Chumraw. Brad Chumraw is a former PYP teacher, I guess once you are, you always are. And he went on both trips with the Lewis and Clark staff as kind of the mentor big brother. And so I also do have to appreciate Jerry Seidensticker, who has allowed Brad to do these things. So it is a team effort. I have this, you may wonder why I'm here so much tonight. You may notice that Heather is not here. Heather is receiving an award in Helena from, I think, the Office of Public Instruction, so we'll learn more about that. But Mark and I are sharing the duties, and so you'll see when Mark gets his part. But it's my special honor and pleasure to get to introduce to you Nancy Jo Connell. Nancy Jo Connell is a speech pathologist. Some of you may know that I'm a speech pathologist in my first professional life. And Nancy Jo Connell is one of those people in Missoula County Public Schools whom I've known for 20 years, and Nancy Jo Connell looks younger every time I see her, which I don't think is a bit fair. What you also may know is there's a speech pathology and audiology department at the University of Montana. There was one. It went into some sort of remission, and it has been resurrected in the last couple of years and is doing very well. And at the University of Montana this year, at the School of Education Honor Banquet, this is the Phyllis J. Washington College of Education and Human Sciences. Nancy Jo received a very special award for her collaboration with the Communicative Sciences Department. And so it's my pleasure to introduce Nancy Jo Connell and a very special friend of hers who is learning how to participate in this environment.
Thank you, Karen. We'll see how well my pal hangs in there. He's used to hanging out with 3, 4, and 5-year-olds, and I think he thinks you're not quite as interesting as the preschoolers. But yeah, thank you for that introduction. And I'll just say briefly, this award has meant a lot to me. I've been really, really impressed by the caliber of the students that are coming out of this newly invented department. Really, really top-notch students. And what I've been doing in supervising them and mentoring them is not only teaching them, helping them hone their therapeutic skills, but really trying to open their eyes to what is so unique and special about working in the schools. Most probably know, maybe not, speech therapists have a lot of options of places to work: hospitals, clinics, private practice, nursing homes, and most of the students, I would say, are gearing towards the medical settings. And most of the students I've had come in thinking they want this practicum experience, but they don't see themselves necessarily working in the schools. So one thing I've really tried to emphasize is help them see what is so special about this setting, that you have such an opportunity to have such an impact on the child's total life by being part of a team, by being a part of the educational setting that is very, very different than if you're working in a hospital. So it's been gratifying to see a couple of the students I worked with by the end of their tenure want to work in schools. One is actually hired next year to work with us, which is very exciting. So it's been, I feel like I've gotten as much out of this as I have given. I will say Scout here, my therapy dog, I have to confess, he's really not the reason for the award, but I couldn't resist giving him a little bit of press because I'm so excited about what he's doing in our schools. He's been trained to be a speech therapy dog, and he works with me 2 days a week in our schools. And most of the time I'm at Jefferson Early Learning Center with, like I said, our 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. And then I also, as an MCPS employee, see children over at Head Start. And he goes to both of those places. And I loved Susan's starting speech because she emphasized communication and connection. And Scout wears many, many hats, but I would say first and foremost, he helps establish that connection with the kids and their school and their teacher and me, and helps build that relationship. And it's just been golden. I can't say enough about how wonderful it's been. So I wanted you all to meet him tonight. And now he wants to go running. Come on, Scotty.
I have to tell you, this is one of those moments when I'm just really proud to be part of Missoula County Public Schools. It's just, I've gotten to see him work too, and it's a great thing. I get to have another wonderful opportunity. We have a teacher, Sarah Scarston, who teaches first grade at Franklin Elementary, who represented us at Leadership Missoula this year. And I've told the story, but I'll tell it again quickly. When I had the opportunity to participate in Leadership Missoula a few years ago, I realized how the life trajectory of teachers and members of the community just run parallel to each other. Because Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., teachers are in their classroom, and everybody else is in their business. The rest of the time, teachers and business people are on the soccer field and in church and doing those kinds of things. But their business lives really don't cross. And so it's been a passion of mine to find opportunities so that our teachers can participate with business people in Leadership Missoula. And I appreciate Sarah taking on that challenge this year.
Thank you very much, Karen, and thank you for inviting me to participate in Leadership Missoula, and thank you to the district for allowing me the opportunity. I feel like Leadership Missoula's goals and vision fit perfectly with the goals and vision of the district and the goals of 21st century learning. There were 3 really important things that I took away from the experience. The first was, like Karen said, that chance to really learn about what's happening in our community, both through the sessions that we did. Each session focused on a different sector of the community, and then also through communicating with my other classmates. I learned a lot about issues and needs in our community, and that made me think about the impact that our educational community has on the whole rest of the community, and how what I'm doing in the classroom, even teaching little firsties, can affect the future of Missoula, and how what we're teaching has a great effect on their future job potential. Noticed a big need for teaching a lot more communication skills, collaboration skills, and high-tech skills too. I think it's important for us to, as teachers, to be in the know about our community. Like I said, we don't have that chance to really experience and learn about what's happening around us. We need that so that we can guide our students not only to succeed, but really to excel in their future careers, so that they can, and to keep them in Missoula. Otherwise, it's not going to continue to be the vibrant and growing community that it is now. And then reciprocally, it was also a chance for me to learn about how other sectors of the community affect our schools as well. The second really big thing was networking. Networking was huge to almost all of the participants. It was a chance to get to know people in small business, big business, nonprofits, hospitals. I mean, there were people from every single sector of the community. It was really great. Being in that particular setting, it's designed for community-wide engagement and was more effective than, seeing people on the soccer field or at Grizz games. What I was able to do, and I felt I did it very effectively, was to relay the reality of the things that are happening in our school district. I got a lot of questions. Everybody wanted to know, well, what about this, and what about that, and what's happening at this school, and tell me more about that program. So sometimes I had to do a little research beforehand, and sometimes I had to put on my PR hat for sure. But I was able to answer a lot of questions and answer things very honestly too about what it's really like in our classrooms, and especially in the elementary classrooms. I think people sometimes have a skewed vision of what it looks like. They think back to what it was when they were in school or when their kids were in school, and it really is a lot different now. And I had a lot of people say, oh my gosh, really? I had no idea that was happening in a first grade classroom. The third thing that was absolutely huge for me was my own personal and professional growth. It was absolutely incredible. I learned valuable leadership and team working skills that helped me with working with my students, parents, and my colleagues. It inspired me to take on more leadership roles in my school, and also to begin the pursuit of a higher degree in educational leadership, which is a little scary. So my next step is to put all these newfound skills to the test as the chairperson for Education Day in February. I'm very excited to do that. I have a great team put together. We have a huge brainstormed list of ideas of things that we want to showcase to the rest of the community next year. One thing that we really want to focus on are the innovative, exciting, and realistic things that are happening from early childhood through K-12 into higher ed, and also into adult education as well. Focusing on the idea that education is necessary for all, and the lifelong education of our whole entire community is necessary to keep our community vibrant. We hope to shed some light on what's being done to help all students, not just those really high-performing students, but also our struggling students, our tangled learners. We want to highlight some community collaboration, such as the things that are happening with the Health Science Academy, so that we might spur some more collaboration. There are lots of people involved in this that are out there looking for ways to give back to the community. And so hopefully we can find some more collaboration. It was one of the most incredible and rewarding experiences of my professional life. And I highly recommend that more teachers participate and realize their leadership potential and really learn and share with the rest of the community. So thank you again for allowing me the opportunity. I supremely enjoyed it.
Any board comment, or Dr. Apostle?
Yes. Well, Sarah, you were a great representative for our district, and it sounds like you enjoyed it, and now you're going to lead that organization to some extent, and we're very proud of you. Thank you.
Very much. Appreciate it.
Karen, you're on again.
I am. I would promise it's the last time, but I wouldn't be telling the truth. We had a surprise a couple months ago when, kind of out of the blue, we received word that two of our schools, Paxton Elementary and Lowell Elementary, had received academic achievement awards from the Office of Public Instruction. And Kelly Chemraw is here, and I'm going to let her speak to the one at Paxton, and then I'll relay some information from Brian Bissett. Kelly Chemraw.
Wow. Well, it just feels really good to be here tonight because you can just feel the love. I mean, wow, a lot of good things happening in our schools, and I'm excited for my kid to be in high school at Helgate, and just excited about all the science and good stuff going on. But the reason that happens is because we have such great creativity, critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and that is why I think that our school was able to receive this award. So like Karen said, it was a surprise. I received a letter not long ago saying that the Office of Public Instruction was awarding Paxton School with $3,897, and we could spend it however we wanted. So do you want to know what we're going to buy? Do you want to guess? iPads, of course. Yeah, iPads are the big one. But also we're going to do a little restructuring in our computer lab and just make that more accessible to all of our students at different levels, different heights. And we're buying some playground equipment, which is important. Play, we know, is very important. And I think we've got some invested in some assessment, too. So thank you.
And at Lowell School, they are working on changing learning environments through the purchase of some new furniture that will help change how kids get organized for the education process. And I'm going to introduce Jane Bennett.
Good. Okay.
Well, I have to tell you that I am delighted, thrilled really, at the number of times this document has been mentioned tonight. Because sometimes you get so isolated in your own school that you're unaware. It's been eye-opening for me tonight to listen to some of these incredible things that have been happening in our district. Many people in this room contributed to our 21st century model of change over the last 18 months prior to this school year. And in this document are 6 change elements that you've heard mentioned by many people tonight. It's impressive to me how well known they are throughout our school district. One of the change elements is to support early innovators. If we want to be a 21st century school district, then we have to have people who want to be on the leading edge of education and try some new things, take some risks, and really become the kind of people who are willing to share then their good ideas with others, and that's how the district will grow. So part of the plan for supporting early innovators was to create an innovator cadre. Karen Allen, by the way, had a good share of the work in creating the cadre and leading it through its work this year. Part of being in the cadre, and there were maybe 50 or so innovators across all of the schools in the district, including teachers and administrators. Part of the deal of being in the cadre is your willingness to share your ideas with others. And we created 2, not 1, but 2 showcase events on May 9th, 2012, and those showcase events were an opportunity for our innovators to take the stage, have a little spotlight, and share their great innovations. In the morning, we had a showcase that we called MSLA EDU, and that was our collaborative showcase with the university. We have been ongoing under the leadership of Dr. Apostle, a number of really incredible collaborations with the university, and this showcase for their innovators and ours, including the ones that collaborated together with the school district and the university. That was our morning conference, and so some of our innovators spoke at that conference in the morning. And then in the afternoon, because one conference in a day is really not enough. You have to have two if you really want to have a wild and crazy day. And they're smiling because it was fun and insane. So in the afternoon in the auditorium at Helgate High School, we became the second group in the state of Montana and the first to have an education-themed TEDx conference. And a number of our innovators prepared a TED-style presentation, and a number of incredible people worked really hard to make that happen. So before I introduce the speakers who really were the stars of the show, I just would like to acknowledge those who were on the planning team for these two conferences, the morning MSLA EDU conference and the afternoon TEDx MCPS Teachers Conference. And the team members are Karen Allen, Heather Davis Schmidt, Mark Thane, Leslie Brassfield, Lee Brown, who's math teacher and department chair at Helgate, Deanna Tessier, Matt Clausen, Krista Anderson, one of our instructional coaches, Michael Maloof, Bess Polaris, Robert Dobell, Beth Cole, another teacher at Helgate, Diane Anderson, Jill Derryberry, another teacher at Helgate, and Art Sinkic. We could not have done those two conferences without that planning team. So, before I introduce the speakers, let's just give a shout out to those planners. Yay. All right. Innovators, it should surprise none of us, are really busy people, and they many of them use the summertime to innovate and plan and create things that they're going to use with their students next year. So quite a few of our speakers are not here, but we are going to recognize the ones who are and mention the names of those who are not here also. Speaking at the morning conference, MSLA EDU, were Leslie Brassfield. Leslie, would you come up here? We're going to give you a speaker poster. Just come right up here and face right over there. Face where? Right there. And just slide right on down because we're going to bring up some more. All right. We were low budget conference planners, but we had some creative ideas to compensate for the lack of cash. And Diane Anderson, actually, one of our planning team, created these speaker posters on which the audience members, and both in the morning and the afternoon, were able to write some sentiment, some response, some reaction to the talks that we got. So Leslie, you just stay right there. Leslie co-presented with Susan Ash in some remarkable collaboration with the university team on creating software that would match students interested in internships and businesses who are interested in hosting an intern. So that is incredibly innovative, that project, and hopefully marketable at some point in the future for the district. Kevin Richland presented about the IB program. John Combs talked about Create Missoula. Kai Nuttall and Robin Nuttall both helped talk about the Digital Academy. Bob Ellenbecker and Melissa Riley talked about designing the Health Science Academy at Big Sky. Michael Maloof, who is here. Michael, if you'd come up. He is? John sat behind me. My apologies to John. I did not see him, but come on up here. We have one for you to... Slide right down there. There you go. John won't surprise you, he not only talked in the morning, but he also dragged out his saxophone and played clarinet, and played, and it was terrific. And Michael talked about the Arabic Implementation Language Program in the district. Cindy Schultz and Margaret Petty, and I saw Margaret before she slipped out. Okay. Well, they were terrific and collaborated high school, elementary in a really cool place-based learning project. And also speaking in the morning, and we have a poster, is Dr. Apostle, so come on up here. Dr. Apostle and President Engstrom were the masters of ceremonies, the kicker offers, and the closers of the closers of the morning conference, and they were both terrific. All right, now don't leave because we're going to just keep filing up people here. At the TEDx program in the afternoon, we included some speakers from our high schools, and they were really the highlight of many, one of many highlights. Kenzie Lombardi talked about apathy, which is her prepared speech for the National Speech and Debate Tournament, where she is right this very moment. Katie Didier from Big Sky High School talked about her senior project on bullying prevention. Matt Gilchrist, who is a percussionist at Helgate, performed an original composition that he had written. Austin Graff, also from Helgate, and a National Poetry Out Loud competitor, talked about the power of poetry. And Rachel Rhodes, who was a key player in helping orchestrate the technology at TEDx, talked about her senior project, which was creating a film festival. Craig Messerman, who is a science teacher at Sentinel that you've heard from already tonight. No surprise that he's an innovator. Kelly Chumraw, the principal at Paxson Elementary School. She clearly is an enthusiastic innovator. And Brad Chumraw, also from Rattlesnake Elementary School, was a speaker at TEDx in the afternoon. Speaking at both the morning conference, taking a short break, staying nervous and highly adrenalized, and speaking once again at TED in the afternoon were Michelle Knuckleby, who is a teacher librarian at Hawthorne Elementary School, Wendy Lofthouse, who is here and did an incredibly moving speech. Wendy talked about not only technology in her own classroom, but the impact of technology on her son, and it was a very touching and superb TED-style talk. Tracy Hardy, who's structured learning program teacher at Cold Springs, was a TEDx speaker, and in the morning also. Casey Dernberger, business and computer teacher at Meadow Hill Middle School. Dave Oberbillig, who is a science teacher at Helgate High School. Lisa Waller, who is an English language arts teacher at Willard, and her student teacher from this year, Jessica Stamler, talked about the co-teaching model that the university and the school district cooperating in. Nick Shepard, who's a 7th grade mathematics and English teacher at C.S. Porter Middle School. Scott Chook, who is here. Scott, come on up. Scott's a communication arts teacher at C.S. Porter Middle School. And Michelle Beatty, who is the mathematics teacher at the Willard Alternative High School program. These folks, I'm sure, will continue to be innovators for our school district and for their students. They will set the standard, raise the bar for others who weren't ready yet this year to take the risk to be an innovator or to showcase in a public forum. And I think that we can count on all of these folks to support those fledgling innovators who next year will want to get on the bandwagon, because I think when all was said and done, I hope that they would all say that the experience of speaking in the morning and speaking in the afternoon, or both, was a wonderful experience. So let's congratulate our innovators.
I would just like to say that this event would have not taken place if it weren't for the people standing up here, excluding me, believe me. But Jane has been very humble this evening. I think all of us know the great role that Jane played in moving this event forward. Without Jane, I'm not sure it would have happened. But thank you so much. Appreciate it. And I might mention that Wendy was so inspirational, along with everybody else. But Wendy had something special about her presentation, to the point where I've asked her to consider telling her story at the Most Inspiring Student Award program next year, and I'm hoping that she's still considering it.
Yeah, what a great idea.
Yeah.
What a great idea.
Thank you.
In the very near future, you will be able to see all of those TEDx speakers on YouTube, on the internet. You'll be able to call them up and watch them over and over and over and over again. Thank you.
Any board comment? Shelley?
I've just heard such wonderful things about it, Jane. I was wondering, is this an ongoing or is this a one-time only event?
Well, I hope we do it again, because now we know how to do it.
Fabulous, great.
We've invented the wheel, now we have to take it for a ride.
Yeah, I'd like to follow up on that. I had planned on going to this, and actually did, with the intention of staying there for probably an hour or so to listen to these talks, having no idea what it was going to be all about, quite honestly. And 5 hours later, I was still sitting in the seat, absolutely amazed at what I saw. Keep in mind that, what was the time constraints? 10 to 15 minutes per presentation. And they just kept coming, and they kept coming, and they kept coming, and they were all different, they were distinct, they were creative, they were innovative. It was Cliff Notes at its finest. And I must say that that the variability and the creativity and the sensitivity that was presented was just, it was remarkable. And there's no question, but that your comment earlier about this being the 21st century, it's well on its way. And if this is just the tip of the iceberg, it's remarkable to see what's going to be below the surface that you can basically bring out with the next couple of iterations of this. This cannot be, it really cannot be a one and done kind of a deal. This has to be a continuing. It was truly a remarkable presentation. Marcia?
I too was there for part of the afternoon, although I wasn't able to stay 5 hours. But what impressed me too was the breadth of those attending. I watched people walk in the door all afternoon, and they came from all parts of our community and all different careers, and students and business leaders and educational leaders. And that too was just amazing to me, that, you know, watching all these folks walk into Helgate High School and commit that kind of time to learn about what's going on in education was just, I thought that was really spreading the word to the community about what great teachers and administrators we have in this community. So thank you again to everyone who put that up.
Dr. Boss?
Just, I must mention that I was in most of the session all the way through, and I'm hoping that our community, our public, has an opportunity to observe our staff, our teachers, and in Kelly's case, an administrator. They exemplified the finest that public education has to offer. Talent was abundant, creativity. It was an amazing show for the Missoula County Public Schools. Our teachers are unbelievable, and I'm hoping, if you haven't had an opportunity to see the presentations, we've got to make it available to the public and to the rest of our staff in our district, because every single presentation, in my opinion, was absolutely exemplary in all respects. I was very, very proud of our staff and everything that they represented at this event. It was wonderful. Congratulations.
Okay, we're on to item 7 on the agenda, which is correspondence. There's correspondence in the packets, for those of you who have packets. And now for public comment, this is for non-agenda items from the audience. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes if you would, please. Anybody who wishes to make public comment on non-agenda items, please come to the podium, state your name, and you have your 3 minutes.
Thank you. After hour and 45, I think I should be able to get a few more minutes, but I'll keep it to 3. Thank you. 19 down. I'm going to start my watch right now. 19 down, 15 to go. So I figure I have 19 years in the district, and I want to teach for about 15 more, hopefully. And that is why I feel very passionately about this school district. And I may not always agree with things that the district do, but I thought I'd write up a learning target to start us out. And actually, I'm only speaking for myself, so I have nobody standing behind me, obviously. But my learning target is I can understand and empathize with teachers. So that's the way we're trained to set up our curriculums. I'm just bouncing around. I'm withdrawn from history, so I wanted to give a really short history lecture. Not a lecture so much as the United States, well, actually the American colonies, the first group of people in the Western world to say we need free public education. That was back in the 1600s, thanks to the Puritans. They're famous for more than just burning witches, but that's one of the great legacies from that New England area, and I really want to emphasize the free and the public, because when I bounce out to something I learned from my political science professor at Carroll College, started out the day with saying that there is no such thing as a free lunch. And there is not. And with that being said, I believe that public education is far too important to raise money for. What we do in the classroom is too important. We should not ask for a dime to do what we do in the classroom. I'd have to ask Mr. McHugh, but I think we spend about $1 to $1.5 million a year just in the high schools on activities. I'd have to look to make sure. But that's what we should be raising money for. If the public does not want to support what happens in our classroom, we shouldn't go out and try to solicit money. I say solicit money for activities. That's great. Activities are important. But what happens in the classroom is too important. IB. Teachers don't hate IB. I don't hate IB. I have not talked to a teacher that said it is terrible. But it is a huge question. I ask all of you to look at it. It is extremely expensive. I love what they were saying before, but the dramatic change of going to a primary IB program in the structuring, the staff, the class loads is dramatic and will have a dramatic impact on the budget. You need to look at the budget, and it will. It is dramatic. It's a great education for sure, but you really need to take a look at it as trustees to impact that's going to have. Rumors. My sense is this is the worst morale we've had in this school district in the 19 years I've taught here. And we've heard a lot of great things tonight, but also there's that reality that you should be aware of. Ultimately, we have a tremendous common interest. We all want the same things. I have great respect for what you do, the huge amount of effort, the lack of payment, the crap you take, and every now and then you get a pat on the back, and I truly do appreciate what you do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any additional comment? Ms. Postma?
Good evening. And a year ago at this time, I was standing here, and here I am again. We have the same, yes, every year. But we're hoping to move on. We want longer years. And what I am talking about is that on May 29th, we came to a tentative agreement with the district, MMCEO. And then on June 8th, we ratified the contract with a 96% positive, which we feel was amazing. And we are extremely happy. Certainly, when we talk to our folks, compensation is always number one, and insurance, and we know that. And we're talking some of the lowest paid folks, definitely in this district. And then the next thing on the list, the thing that we kept hearing was, please save my job, please. it really resonated with our team. And we decided we really needed to think about these folks, think about everyone, and think about what's happening out there. And if people do lose their jobs, what happens? Where do we go? Where do they go? And so we had some great discussions, and working with the district team and our team, and I think we came to some great resolutions. I think both sides are very happy with the way things turned out. I'd like to thank the district team, Steve McHugh, Pat McHugh, Scott Reed, and Joe Potter. I think we were all just working to the best that we could with what we had. On our team, we have Diane Anderson, she's our negotiations chair, and of course Carlene Hathaway, and Cindy Wishart, and Rosie Meltzer, and myself. And with that, I would like to just say, I would like to have Carlene and maybe Diane give you a little bit of update on what they felt, but I thank the district, and I certainly hope that you will certainly vote this in. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Carlene Hathaway. I'm a paraeducator. I've been with the district, just finished my 22nd year. I work in the SLP classroom at CS Porter. I love what I do. Just wanted to let you know, and well, you probably know this if you looked at our contract. We have 65 job categories in our contract. We are not all teachers. We have 65 job categories representing approximately 400 people, 400 very different individuals. And as Sherry said, all of us were very, very interested in keeping jobs. And as I listened to all the wonderful presentations this evening, and I'm very proud of this district, I've heard that we're racing into the 21st century, and I'd just like you to remember one thing. We are the wheels, we're the spark plugs, we're the fuel, notice I didn't say gas. We're all the parts that are on that race car that our certified staff is driving. We're the people that are out in front of them, and we're the ones building the road that you can drive on to get there. And I really appreciate everyone's support in this district, recognizing if you've been in any one of the buildings from A admin to W Willard, you have met, spoken with, watched, or seen the work that our people do. And this district functions with our help. Not against us, with our help. Side by side with our teachers, with our administrators, and everybody in this community. We are a part of this professional learning community. And the one other comment I'd like to make is that in politics right now, I have heard it said, that public education is broken and needs to be fixed. And when I sit here and watch these teachers come up with the most amazing students that I've seen in my 22 years, we're not broken. We don't need to be fixed. We just need people to keep pushing us forward, not trying to hold us down. So I would appreciate your vote in support of our contract. Thank you.
My name is Diane Anderson, and there's really nothing that I can add to what Sherry and Carlene have said. But I will say that negotiations, when you're in it, it's pretty challenging. And we started a little bit bumpy, but then we kind of hit a little bit into where we start communicating, and then we hit kind of a collaboration. And in the end, we ended up with convergence. And I think that, we're very, as I say, in many ways, very happy with what the outcome was. For some of our folks in that, it was very meaningful because it was some benefits and some wages that came at a time when they're really in desperate need. And I want to remind you that a lot of our 10-month people, some of them are only 6-month employees, and they don't qualify for unemployment insurance, so they're out there competing with students and other people in the public sector and the private sector in that for summer jobs. And so we appreciate all the effort on the part of the district negotiators in that to really try to help to make that work for those folks.
Thank you all. Any additional public comment? And please state your name.
I'm Christine Fogarty, and I am a teacher here at MCPS, and I'm also a concerned community member. So I'm here tonight to ask you to move towards a resolution for the teacher's contract for this coming year. And I think this can be done with a true team effort. If you've seen the movie War Horse, I want you to think about the scene when the team of horses were pulling the artillery. Actually, it's several scenes. I feel many of us are at the point where the team of horses were when they were pulling the artillery up the hills to the point of exhaustion. Those horses gave every ounce of energy that they could give. They did what they were asked. They worked together until their spirit was broken down. If you've seen that movie, you know what the end result was to those horses. You have seen tonight many, many examples of teachers working hard. We have a good foundation here at MCPS, and we need to maintain that so we can keep our students moving forward in their lives. I'm asking that we all have the time we need to reflect on our daily work so that we can be creative and innovative for our students as the year goes by. I'm asking you to allow that the resources needed to engage our students are in this expected standards of today, and those kind of resources are ones that we need to help keep us healthy so we can maintain the level of expectation. I'm also asking that you remember that we are a team. We need to work together, not as individuals. We need to work hard in our own ways, and that doesn't make one of us any more valuable than another one. Without us all working together towards the same clear, attainable goals, we can't be our best. Our ultimate goal is to help those students be the best that they can be, not only in academics, but as productive citizens. Therefore, learning matters to us. Please don't break our spirit. As Joe said, morale is in the toilet. I've been in this district for over 20 years, and I'm saddened to see where we are. I'm glad to see everything that was presented tonight because it gives me hope. I know there is hope, and we can do this. So I do thank you for your time and energies that you give to us and to our students.
Thank you. Is there any additional public comment? Going once, going twice. Thank you all. Thank you all for your comments. Now we move on to 8, which is various reports. There is a health insurance trust fund report, which if you have a packet is on page 49 for your review. In addition, there are committee minutes, and a number of them that go on and on and on. And I welcome you to snooze nicely by going over them if you should. And now we'll have trustee comment. The floor is open to my colleagues at this table. Trustee Sadler?
My comment is about the Lowell School Clinic. I'm still surprised that we don't have a resolution of that. What's happening is that there's been a holdup of folks on the health portion of turning over documents that is needed by our attorney to render an opinion. I'm just asking them to turn over those documents. They are public records, and there's no reason if they're worried about confidentiality. I'm sure our attorney has good sense and will keep things confidential. All that we need to know is the legal ramifications on the district, and once she renders that opinion, our district can go forward and support this worthwhile clinic.
Trustee Wills?
I also wanted to give my congratulations to the Helgate lacrosse team. Somehow they got missed, but they were also our state champions, so I wanted to give them our congratulations.
Boys and girls, by the way. Trustee Bixler?
I'd just like to take a moment and congratulate the 890 graduating seniors this year. Saturday was the best day of the year for me. It's why I do this. It makes it all worthwhile. As well as staying up until about 5:30 that morning with the all-night party. And that's where I'd really like to talk a little bit about is all of the people, including trustees that helped out, staff, administrators, teachers, classified. Everyone, it was a great effort to put that together. We spent a little over $5,000 in prizes and scholarships for those students, keeping them there until 3 a.m. and safe, as we have done for the last 23 years. And again, for all the people who worked, especially the coordinator Linda, and the Sentinel, Helgate, and Big Sky coordinators for those schools, thank you very much. It was a big task, and you kept all of our seniors very safe, giving them a real alternative from other types of activities that can go on after graduation. So thank you for everyone.
Any additional board comment? Trustee Toth?
I'd like to second what Scott just talked about on graduation. It was a great day on Saturday to meet all those kids and shake their hand and give congratulations to the parents and all the people that worked with them. And one of the things that I'd like to note on that day that I was very impressed at was the number of, they had them recognized in different ways by either part of the additions to the gown, or they stood up, or I think one of the various speakers recognized the amount of kids that were on the honor roll. It was overwhelming at each school, at all 3 schools, the amount of kids that did so well. And just as a reflection of that, if anybody had students or family related to that, and you could look through the graduation pamphlets that were handed out, and some of that information in there was the amount of scholarships and awards and moving on to higher education institutions that these kids are attaining, and it was just amazingly impressive. And so congratulations to all those students.
Okay. Any additional comment? Okay. Moving on to item 9, Mr. Thane, Region 1.
Thank you, and I, as Karen said earlier, will also be Ms. Davis-Schmidt for Region 2 this evening. There are 3 items listed under my name on the agenda: dropout and graduation data, graduation matters, Missoula, and academic achievement. And those of you, of course, who are in attendance monthly recognize that all those items are intricately interwoven, and you can't really talk about one without talking about the others. Year end provides us an opportunity to start taking a look at some data. And I have the attendance data that Linda Sims compiled for the school year we just completed last week. We hear a lot when we go out into the buildings about student attendance, and there's certainly concern about improving student attendance. It's been one of our goals in Graduation Matters Missoula. We have referenced it repeatedly in our strategic plan for Graduation Matters Missoula. The data, I think, would surprise some individuals. 9 elementary schools, our highest attendance data was 96%. Our lowest attendance data in any given school was 92% attendance for the year. 6 of our 9 schools were above 95% attendance in the elementary, and the aggregate attendance was 95% this year. That's an increase from a 93% the previous year. So excellent work. We do have attendance committees functioning in all our buildings, and of course it's an emphasis in Graduation Matters Missoula, and I believe the data reflects that. In our 3 middle schools, our highest attendance was 94%. Our lowest was 91%, and the aggregate for our 3 middle schools was a 93% attendance rate. And in our 4 high schools, the highest attendance rate was 91%, the lowest attendance rate was 85%, the aggregate was 88%. And I want to qualify the high school attendance data because, as you know, you recognize students who are involved in a myriad of activities throughout the year. When they're away from the building, participating in those activities, they are not in attendance. So the numbers at the high school are naturally going to be a little bit lower because we have so many students engaged in so many activities that do take them away from the high schools. But again, very pleased with the attendance data as we have seen it this year, and we'll continue to make efforts in that regard because that certainly influences academic achievement, and it certainly influences our ability to keep students on track for graduation. The second piece of data is the dropout numbers. And again, it says dropout and graduation data. We won't have our graduation data officially reported from the Office of Public, or to the Office of Public Instruction until October. We do that on our first count date. We won't have the official report back from OPI until January. But I can tell you this. We had this year on the final list at the end of the school year, 101 students listed as dropouts. Last year, we had 110 listed at the end of the school year. I started doing a little research, and I had some conversation with Bonnie Ferguson and exchanged some emails with Jane Bennett. Of those 101 students, 11 are already recovered in that they have been enrolled for Willard's program in the fall. So again, we're continuing to reach out to those students to try and meet their individual needs and to craft programs to draw them back into the school. Each of our schools are engaged in that activity. I hope that we'll recover a significant number of those students prior to the reporting in October. But we'll keep you updated, and those numbers then will be used to calculate our graduation data. That represents approximately 2.6% of our high school population. You noticed in Trevor's State of the School, Big Sky was right at the 2.6%. 5 of the students who have been recovered to the Willard program are listed on Big Sky's dropout list, for example. So again, his numbers, as will all the numbers, will improve. You also heard Susan Anderson tonight reference the Capstone Committee. We have a number of activities that are occurring within our district. The 21st Century Model of Change has been the catalyst for much of that, and the foundation of our capstone work is born in the 21st Century document. We have a group of teachers working throughout the school year. We'll continue to work next year, largely at the building level, to shape capstone projects at 5th grade, 8th grade, and at 12th grade. It's kind of a morphing of the senior project idea. Time to take a fresh look, and we'll look at capstone projects for all our sites. And we'll give you more detail on that at a future Teaching and Learning Committee meeting. We also tend to think that this being the first week of summer, teachers are putting their feet up and relaxing, and that is not necessarily the case. We kicked off this week the math curriculum review. We had teachers and administrators gathered at Big Sky High School to begin looking at the Common Core state standards and the implications for our math program, and they are working on drafting our new math curriculum. You'll receive regular updates of their progress throughout the school year. We also had at the administration building a group of teachers working on positive behavior supports as they're looking toward next year. Again, as they look at their building goals, start talking about climate and culture, again, impacts attendance and graduation. We have schools that are looking at positive behavior supports for their students. We have also continued to meet with CTE folks. Our Career and Tech Ed group is looking at what the future of career and technical education is in Missoula County Public Schools, how it integrates with the STEM programs that Susan Hay Patrick referenced in her presentation, and also how the delivery of career and tech education will change to meet the needs of students in the 21st century. So that group will continue to meet, in fact, later this week. Trustee Wexler already referenced the senior all-night party. At Seattle, we had about 60% of the seniors participate, and that was a remarkable number. It was a great crowd that night. A little anecdotal story. My daughter went to the senior all-night party and stopped by a friend's house on the way to convince her to attend. The girl was not going to attend. That girl walked out the door with $500 door prize as a result of attending. So well worth her investment of money to attend the senior all-night party. It was a great event for all the students, and nothing but positive reports, and certainly enjoyed that time. We have our preliminary Montcast data, our state assessment data, back in the Teaching and Learning Department. The individual schools are looking at the disaggregation of their own data presently. OPI will go through in the next month or month and a half and actually cleanse the data. They'll scrub the tests. Any test items that have disproportionate numbers of incorrect responses will be reviewed to make sure that those test questions are appropriate. We have on the test first piloted tests for our new state assessment, which we'll begin to administer in 2015. One thing I would state with regard to our preliminary data is that the bar continues to be raised. Remembering No Child Left Behind, the goal was by 2014 100% of all students would be proficient or advanced in both reading and math. In order to get there, each year the bar has been raised, and this year we need to have about 96% of our students proficient or advanced in reading and 88% in math. It will be a great challenge to see that increased expectation, and we will know probably the latter part of June how our schools stack up in that regard. With that, I'll transition into the notes that Heather Davis-Schmidt left for me. First of all, with regard to robotics and electronics, the middle schools held a parent showcase Wednesday, May 30th. The students showed off the building and programming skills that they developed over the semester. And Mr. Edge at Porter discussed plans for next year, including the first Lego League regional competition. And Missoula County Public Schools will plan to participate. The high school team held a thank you dinner for the parents and the mentors last week. The students showed off the robot and let the families try their hand at driving the robot. Everybody's excited about the growing program, and next year they intend to build on the successes that they experienced this year and hopefully attend additional competitions. You may have seen reference to this in the media. The Helgate High School band, approximately 75 students strong, the wind ensemble and the symphonic band members will travel to Chicago in March of 2013 to play in the Chicago Symphony Center's Orchestra Hall. Helgate's one of 4 high schools nationally to receive the honor and recognition as a participant in the Chicago International Music Festival. So kudos to the Helgate program. And again, as Mr. Bixler referenced previously, 890 Missoula County Public Schools seniors received their diplomas in exercises Saturday, June 2nd and Sunday, June 3rd at Seeley. The Willard Alternative Learning Program graduates graduated a week earlier, and many of those students also participated in the activities at their home schools. This past Thursday, our 8th graders went through their promotion activities, and they're excited about their transition into high school. We continue to look at transition activities. It's really important that we structure for success as students move between those critical years. Right now we're looking at the transition from 5th grade to middle school and from middle school to high school primarily, but we'll continue to look at facilitating additional activities, not only to help with the transition, but to ensure continued success for those students in their new environment. With that, are there any questions?
Trustee Bixler?
Yeah, Mark, earlier Trevor talked about producing a profile of the guy dropout. I'd be very interested in looking at that, and then also wondering whether Sentinel and Helgate had any plans to do the same, and whether they have, or if they have, and if they have, whether there's some similarities or disparities that are between the 3 high schools.
Each of the schools has worked on creating a profile. I don't have the current year's profile for Sentinel, but Tom is working on it. He has kept a notebook and extensive notes of all the visits that the counselors and the teachers, as well as the administrative staff, had with each student who ultimately was on their dropout list. They did some profiling that's really interesting. One of the things that we have not recognized in a significant way in the past is that many of the students we lose are students who transition into our high school district, and we lose them in the first 45 days that they're here. So again, I referenced the transition between middle school or elementary and middle school and high school. We also need to focus on transitioning students who are new to our district, because we do lose a significant number of those students if we don't get them engaged right away. So we do have that data. We haven't looked at it yet in the aggregate district level, but that is something that we plan to do.
And Trustee Smith?
Mark, would you please also comment briefly, if you will, maybe this is Karen's part of the thing, on the recent, going along with writing on the coattails of our graduates, I received notice of the GED recipients through adult ed, and I know that ties in with sometimes what we would think of as a dropout. Oftentimes that are probably people that moved into the district and were perhaps not part of CPS in their younger years, but all the same, it's another way to perhaps track or look for things that our district supports through adult education to help those people kind of post senior year.
Certainly, you would think that he was a plant, because today we had our cabinet meeting at the Dickinson Life Learning Center so that we could showcase the programs that are there. Through the Dickinson program, the GED is actually administered 22 times here in Missoula during the course of the year. Over the course of this this year, we had more than 250 students take the GED exam. We will, on June 21st, celebrate the GED graduation. Now, again, knowing that students took the exam at a variety of different times throughout the year, we may not have great participation in June graduation, but those students will have an opportunity to put on a cap and gown and have a photo taken and to be recognized for their great accomplishment. Many of them are adults who, for one reason or another, became separated from school prior to graduating and have come back. There is a very active transition to college program, something that we observed today as the Dickinson Lifelong Learning Center serves as a bridge for those students who may have either been away from school for an extended period of time or who have just recently completed the GED and want to pursue post-secondary education. So we do have a great program there. The GED program is morphing. It's going to an online exam and will be radically different from the GED as we know it now. We're in a 2-year phase in. There is also a committee operating at the Office of Public Instruction, and Tom Blakely is a representative. They're examining what's known as the GED options program. One of the concerns we have with GED is that if there's a complete separation from the high school, then there are many of the soft skills and vocational skills that students don't get because they're not presently enrolled. In a GED options program, there may be an opportunity to keep students engaged in some high school programming while also completing GED prep. So a different pathway for some of our students. So the Office of Public Instruction is exploring that presently, and we would expect sometime in the next year to have resolution to that.
Anybody else? Oh, Mr. Sadler?
I would be curious at how that will, your last statement, how it impacts our alternative high school.
I don't know that it would impact our alternative high school very significantly. It's really, truly for students who have mitigating circumstances of one kind or another that would prohibit them really from completing a regular 4-year high school program. We would be looking at students who may be approaching the age at which we would no longer be able to serve them in public schools.
Like 19.
Right, 19, but
plus.
be so credit deficient that neither the alternative program nor a regular high school program would get them to that point prior to graduation. So the intent would be provide some hands-on vocational, some of the soft skills, as well as GED prep, so that they do have post-secondary opportunities or world of work opportunities upon completion of that program. But it would not be a program that I, as a freshman or sophomore, could just say, gee, this looks like the way I want to go and I want to opt in. It would be highly selective.
Well, I'm hoping that if they give us this mandate, they also give us some money.
One can hope.
Yeah, thanks.
Additional questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thane. Mrs. Allen, you're back.
Yeah, no. Remember me. I would like, with the chair's permission, to move right away to Heidi Wallace, who is actually, her name is at the end, but Ms. Wallace has been extremely patient this evening. Ms. Wallace works with the National Coalition Building Institute. They're a very important partner with MCPS, and Heidi is here just to give a little update. Would that meet your approval, Mr. Chair? Thank you.
I have really enjoyed being here tonight, but no one's sitting by me anymore, so that must mean I've been here for a while. So I have a PowerPoint put together, and I am going to zip right through it, but really I'm here to sort of give the annual summary of our school-based work and our partnership with Missoula County Public Schools, which began in the year 2004. I was looking back. It's when we had our first Respect Club. And we have co-curricular and extracurricular programs partnered with MCPS. And all of our school-based work does align with the priorities of Missoula County Public Schools in regards to 21st century learning, graduation matters, and the Montana Behavioral Initiative. And one particular goal of the district, which is achievement and graduation for all students regardless of their circumstances. And students' academic success necessitates a safe and welcoming and inclusive learning environment, and we do aid in that goal. Here are our school-based programs. We have the High School Violence Prevention Initiative. We have an annual High School Train the Trainer. This summer will be the 5th annual. And we have provided peer-led trainings at Big Sky and Helgate for the freshman classes for the last 4 and 5 years. Big Sky 5 years, Helgate 4. We have middle school program in all 3 District 1 middle schools. And this was our first full year with the Elementary Respect Club program, which I'm really proud of. It was at Lowell Elementary, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. And we do provide professional development trainings for educators. Here's some photos of our camp and our peer-led freshman trainings. Since 2008, we have trained 268 students and staff. Those trainers have led 38 in-school workshops with over 2,800 student participants. 90% of our students who attend the Train the Trainer go on to lead trainings in the schools. And 90% of participants believe the schools they learn during those freshman trainings will help them build safer and more inclusive schools. Beyond that, those school-based work, we provide support for Youth Forward, which is our off-site support group for LGBTQ teens, 13 to 18. We participate in diversity trainings at Helgate, and we have provided additional trainings for Willard the past 3 years. Washington Middle School, we've trained all the 6th graders the past 2 years. And for the past 3 years, we've gone to Sealy to do 8th to 9th grade transition training with all those students, which is really great to connect with Sealy students. Here are some of our members of Lowell Elementary Respect Club, and I am a little biased. I am a parent of 2 Lowell students. Our first full year, we had 24 4th and 5th grade students. Now, this club is co-facilitated not only by our high school leaders, but also our middle school Respect Clubbers. And so it's really great to have that peer modeling. One highlight of this year, the Lowell students performed the Sneetches play based on Dr. Seuss's book, The Starbellies and the Not Starbellies. They did that for the whole entire school, and then they presented that at Diversity Day, which is a community project that we put on here in Missoula. And we have many goals, but one of them is to at least expand the elementary club into other Title I schools. Here's some middle school Respect Club students. And again, it's co-led by high school peer leaders. And 8 of our graduating 8th graders will be attending the High School Train the Trainer. And we definitely recognize that pipeline of leadership, but also connection that happens with NCBI clubs and programs. This year, we have had a lot of national recognition from our school-based programs. And this is a proud moment for me to not only recognize our youth leaders, but also recognize the wonderful partnership we have with Missoula County Public Schools. We have been recognized by U.S. Department of Education, the Advancement Project, America's Promise Alliance, GLSEN, which is the Gay, Lesbian, Straight Educational Network, Lady Gaga. You may have read about that. That was fun. PFLAG of Montana, and some of our students have been working with Senator Al Franken on the National Student Non-Discrimination Act that he is trying to get through. We were at the Schools to Prison Pipeline Conference, Gracie Kushner and I, and she said it was a fantastic experience that helped her engage with her leadership skills and to see how youth, especially LGBTQ youth, engage in a larger, more adult environment. That was at the Regional Action Camp in LA, and we are submitting a proposal to present at that conference next year on adult and youth partnerships with peer-driven initiatives. And one of our students, Nikki Manlove from Sentinel, was able to attend with one of our youth facilitators the Safe Schools Advocacy Summit. And of course, in his eloquent words, it was cool seeing the work we do in Montana happening at a national level. Here is Iku and Tyler Cheetah and I at Harvard University. This was really exciting because Iku and Tyler were 2 of 8 students who were invited from throughout the country to present at the Cruelty and Meanness Symposium at Harvard campus. And they got to present on the grassroots peer-led initiatives. And the purpose of that symposium was for the Born This Way Foundation to kind of guide their foundation and what's going to create the biggest impact. And I know she walked away knowing that youth leadership is the biggest impact. And Iku, you know, she's on her way to Harvard in the fall for school. And we joked we were Harvard alumni when we were sitting in the classrooms, but she really will be. And she just said that she really appreciated how that foundation mission reflects what we're already doing, and I believe that strongly too. And this just shows that the youth in Missoula County Public Schools and the youth that we get to work with are not only creating change and making a difference in their schools and the younger schools, but beyond Missoula, beyond Montana, and throughout the state and nation to make greater change to support students. Quickly, our little pie chart of the cost of our youth programs. The programs cost around $97,000, and CBI is dedicated and committed to doing a lot of grants, foundations, and local support to continue this work. We have an incredible partnership with MCPS and the funding support that is available, and we are always looking at creative new ways to partner with the district in regards to funding. The high school program is about $34,000. Middle school respect clubs are $38,000. Elementary Respect Club in one school is under $10,000, and some of our other youth programs about $15,000. Here's our funding streams. For this school year, we received $9,300 from Missoula County Public Schools. There's a large chunk from the district, and then Washington, Willard, and Big Sky give some building support for some of our programs in those schools. And we heard tonight of all of the amazing things that are happening in the district, and I heard all the words that I love to hear, which is culture, climate, leadership, support, and NCBI does aid in that for the school district, and we are really thankful to be able to be in the schools working with the young people, and I'm really excited for our future collaboration and partnerships. So, thank you. Any questions?
Dr. Apostle?
Heidi, there's no question that your heart is in your work, and your organization has really made a difference in our district in ways that we really can't see every single day. But in evaluating the environment in terms of what goes on in our school district, you've had a tremendous impact, and we appreciate your efforts.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else on the board? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very
See you next year.
Okay, very quickly. You saw about Lewis and Clark. I'm on the International Baccalaureate at this point. You saw about the work that Lewis and Clark is doing. Just to make sure everybody in the community knows that Helgate is an official IB diploma school, and it feels like it was a long time coming, but it was really a short time coming. It was a lot of collaboration that came together to make that happen. 21st century model of education, you saw a lot about that tonight. The one thing that's coming up is we have a design thinking workshop that's going to happen on June 22nd and 23rd. And you say, what is design thinking? Design thinking is being able to look at the world differently and come up with new solutions to old problems. So our focus for that 2 days, which will involve administrators, building leaders in various capacities, and teaching staff who are all building leaders, classified staff also, is focusing on the concept of collaboration. Collaboration is easy to say and hard to do. So we're going to look at how we might come up with new ways to collaborate in our schools. Health Science Academy you heard a lot about, and so I won't go further there.
Board questions? Karen, thank you. Okay. Moving on to item 10H, which is the general fund budget update from Mr. McHugh.
Thank you. This is the general fund expenditures through April 30th of this year. We went over these spreadsheet at the Finance and Operations Committee meeting last month. Just pointing out that we're on track. You'll notice that the spreadsheet is broken down into salaries and benefits as a line item versus other general fund expenditures, and the percentage expenditures in those categories is consistent with what we had estimated from a budgeting standpoint. The expenditures for May and June are significant, especially this month in the payroll office, as we do expend significant amount of funds for triple checks. This is the teachers' pay over the summer, and also for termination payouts and other final curriculum paychecks. So this spreadsheet will change drastically over the next couple of months, but we're right on target.
Board questions or comment? Okay, thank you, Pat. Mr. Reed, where did I see you go? Did you step down? Okay. We'll give him a chance to come back to it. Oh, there, is he coming? Oh, there you go. Mr. Reed, you're on. Oh.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Tom Facey, teacher at Sentinel High School, 418 Plymouth, Missoula. I thought I might be able to comment under the curriculum, Mr. Thane, on the English thing, but it looks like you've gone over that. Just wanted to tell the board about a conference that's going to be at Doubletree Hotel today and tomorrow about school choice. A lot of my good Republican legislative friends are there.
I'm going to interrupt you, sir. I think you're out of order here. Okay.
I'll look at the agenda and find another place.
Thank you very much. Okay. Mr. Reed, you're on.
Thank you.
On topic.
Good evening. Just real quick on some updates for our summer projects. Our modulars at Rattlesnake and Lowell are mostly up. In fact, we're roofing the one at Lowell. Went up really quick. Encourage you guys to swing on by and take a look at that progress. Those are all on schedule. Health Science Academy, we started doing some rewiring and painting and tearing up carpet and getting those ready for the academy. It's going to start this next fall. That's on schedule. Also have several other projects that are going on. On your consent agenda tonight, you guys have a right-of-way easement that you're going to be approving for Sealy. We're going to add some more language to that, talking to the county, and I'm going to recycle that back through the F&O next week and bring it to the board again next month. So we want to just, we're going to add a little bit more language to tighten that up a little bit. And the building reserve update is in your package on page 93 and 94. If you have any questions on that. Other than that, summer's here. Any questions?
Dr. Apostle?
I'd just like to thank Scott and his crew for taking on these large projects, important projects, and staying on schedule. In fact, even doing better than that at this point in time. And just like to thank you and the crew.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Scott. Much appreciated. Okay, we'll move on to the personnel report, which is item 12. We don't take comment on the personnel report. I wonder if we have a motion to accept the report as written by Trustee Dupree, a second by Trustee Sadler. All those in favor? And that is that unanimous? Unanimous. Thank you very kindly. And now we move on to consent agenda, I believe, which is legendary. If you hang on for a second. Oh, here we go. Thanks.
Could I make a parliamentary inquiry?
Yes, sir.
It's obviously that Tom Facey come in at the wrong time. He wanted to make a public comment. He wants to announce, I think, something. Could it be bigger to go back to a public comment and just allow him to make that announcement?
Is that fair? Is the board in agreement?
Right.
Great. Okay. Sorry, Tom, but you're on now.
I apologize, Mr. Chair, and I appreciate your indulgence, Trustee Sadler. I was going to comment about the English, about the Common Core. I think glad we're doing it. As a sidelight, Great Falls said it cost them $1.5 to $3 million to adopt that, and we're doing it for nothing. So I think we're doing a great job. Just wanted to tell the board about a school choice conference out at the Doubletree Hotel. It was today and tomorrow. I think school choice is a great idea for parents. They should be able to send their kids anywhere they want to, but I think in this case, they're probably going to want to have the money to follow those the kids, which means there's going to be less money available for public schools. And there's also, because we have less kids, and also we'll probably have less money to appropriate. And, public schools are great because we have accountability, we have public input. We have Board of Trustees that run them in an open and fair fashion, and I just don't know if some of the plans that might be holding for us are along those same lines. So if you've got time, you might want to go out there and see what they're doing. I think they start about 8:30 in the morning. I don't know if there's a registration fee, but again, I apologize for the interruption, Mr. Vice Chair, and appreciate your indulgence. Thank you, Trustee Sadler.
Thank you very kindly, and thank you, Mr. Sadler. Okay, back to the consent agenda, and if you would bear with me, it's from teaching and learning to approve the English. Yes.
I don't know if it takes a motion to remove item 12C from the consent agenda, since that's been recommended by Scott, and so it seems like there'd have to be a formal motion to remove it from the consent agenda.
I don't think he actually asked to move it. I think he just made a comment, if I'm correct. Am I correct? Do you want it removed?
That's correct, but I think we just will remove it if it's okay with the board.
Oh.
So
Yeah, we're going to change the language in it, just tweak it up, and I'll just recycle it back through F&O next week, and you guys will see it again in July.
Okay.
Thank
So
you, Marcy.
Is there a move to remove it from the consent? Okay. And a second? And is there a formal vote? All those in favor? Okay, we're unanimous again. Thank you very kindly. Again, getting back to the consent agenda, to approve the English language arts curriculum, to approve the library media curriculum, to approve the theater arts curriculum, to approve the out-of-country travel requests from finance, to approve the out-of-district attendance agreements, to approve the claims and extracurricular reports, to approve the grant application summaries, to approve addition of bus routes for Health Science Academy, to approve the transfer of funds within the expired building reserves, to approve restoration of indirect funds and work comp credit with year-end funds, to award the bids for remodel of Russell School stage into additional classrooms, and from personnel negotiations and policies, to approve the Willett Alternative High School program school calendar for 2012-2013. Motion to move on that by Trustee Sadler, a second. By Trustee Smith. Any comment? Any public comment? All those in favor? And that is unanimous as well. And I think we move on now to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Dr. Knapp. Just a comment before I begin announcing important dates. Our graduation ceremonies were truly wonderful. Our students were great in terms of their behavior and respect for the celebration and the ceremony. Our audience was amazing. They understood the ceremony very specifically, and they conducted themselves accordingly. On another matter, I must say that teacher morale across the country is the lowest it's ever been, according to many recent national publications. Some of the reasons cited were the scrutiny of unions in reference to performance-based education, charter schools, private schools coming into the equation of educating our children, salary and benefits being underfunded and questioned by the state and federal government. The mood of our citizens of the world today is not the greatest. It's probably the lowest it's been in decades, for very obvious reasons if you're keeping track of the media. I believe strongly that the morale in this district was exemplified this evening. The morale is high. We're doing great things. And we have to remain positive in terms of everything that we're doing. Positive in the classroom, positive throughout the district. We have accomplished a tremendous amount based on the efforts of our staff, both classified and certified. And we shouldn't dampen the spirit that we witnessed this evening. We should not do that. We need to be real and we need to be honest about what's going on in our district. Public education is under attack. You and I both know that. And it's important that we recognize that. And we need to remain strong and together as we move public education forward. We heard Tom Facey, what's going on just blocks away from here. We can't be against one another. We have to be realistic in terms of the parameters that we're working within and be proud, based on limited resources, what we're accomplishing in this district. It's not about me, it's not about you, it's about everybody in this community and everybody in this district. We're doing good. We're doing great things. We need to stay positive. These are challenging times for everybody. It's not just teachers, it's not just administrators, it's not about classified staff, it's not about certified staff. We're all in this together. And if we aren't positive, we'll destroy within, because there's plenty of criticism out there. And tonight it's taken almost 3 hours, and I'm hoping that the community has witnessed the great things that are happening in this district. And this is not the first time that we've exemplified the good things, the great things that are happening in our district on behalf of our teachers and on behalf of our students. So it's real important that we really think things through before we say things. Okay. Some important dates. Missoula County Public School Administration Summer Hours, June 11th, 2012, August 10th, 2012. Monday through Thursday, 7 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. And there's some people that are deviating from that, and we do that on an individual basis. Special board meeting, executive session, termination hearing, Tuesday, June 19th, 2012, 6 p.m. in the Business Building Boardroom.
That's been changed.
Oh, is that the
28th? 28th.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. We should have changed it. Okay, that's, is that a Thursday? June 28th, 6 p.m. here in the Business Building Boardroom. Thank you. Finance and Operations Committee meeting, Wednesday, June 20th, 12 p.m., Business Building Boardroom. Adult Ed graduation, GED graduation, Thursday, June 21st, 6:45 at the Dickinson Lifelong Learning Center. Budget study session, a very important session, Tuesday, June 26, 6 p.m. here in the Business Building Boardroom. PN&P committee meeting Wednesday, June 27th, 12 p.m. here, actually in the Administration Building, Room 14. Regular board meeting Tuesday, July 10th, 6 p.m. Business Building Boardroom. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Apostle. Moving on, there is no old business, and there is new business, and it's been referred to already, which is the ratification of the one-year agreement with MMCEO, and I would entertain a motion to approve by Trustee Sadler. Is there a second? By Trustee Wills. Is there any public comment on the MMCEO contract? Is there any board comment? Trustee Bixler.
Just again, quickly, thank you very much for the negotiating team on both sides and all the membership. Thank you so much for coming together and putting together a positive contract for us. Thank you.
And Trustee Sadler?
Yes, I know you have put a lot of work into this and thought, and we greatly appreciate it. The high school budget is very, very lean this year. Any increase basically becomes a decrease someplace else. And I greatly appreciate your idea that you wanted to help your fellow workers to all stay employed. This is a bad economy, and they keep on telling us it's getting better, but I really don't see it getting better. So I thank you for your humanity and thinking of helping your fellow people, and also for settling this in a fashion that the high school budget will be able to sustain. So thank you.
Any additional board comment? In follow-up on what Jim said, one of my favorite quotes is Benjamin Franklin, which at the time they were ratifying the Declaration stood up in front of folks and said, we better hang together or we're going to hang separately. So thank you for all you've done. It's a remarkable achievement. It is truly a pleasure to work with people like you. Much appreciated. So is there any further comment? Okay, all those in favor of ratifying the contract? And those opposed, that's unanimous. And I believe we are done. So thank you all for staying around for 2 hours and 50 minutes.